I have been a Jaguar F-Type fan for quite some time now. I'm on my second purchase now and owning the top trim, the SVR. And I know there's a lot of people that cross-shop a C7 Corvette to an F-Type. And sometimes there's owners that go from a Corvette to an F-Type and an F-Type to a Corvette. But as my son and I were out here processing things, we realized that a C8 and an F-Type are a lot more alike than you'd think.
Hello everybody and welcome to Performance on Wheels. My name is Austin. My dad Todd and I make all types of different car videos on all types of different cars. If you guys are willing to help support our channel, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe to help grow this father-son team. I also need to give a super quick shout out to Apple Autos for supplying the C8 Corvette used in today's video. If you guys are interested in purchasing this C8 Corvette 2LT Stingray, it is located here in Northfield, Minnesota. There's a link down in the description below.
Before we get things started, we have to make one thing very clear.
Which is?
This is the fact that these cars, although they look dramatically different, it's kind of crazy how different they look.
Yeah.
They look absolutely stunning at every single angle.
Yeah, these two cars as a duo truly do turn some heads going down the road. What a beautiful group of cars that we have here. The C8 takes a much more angular approach to things, where the very smoothed off and refined lines of the F-Type are very different languages, but both absolutely stunning and gorgeous, gorgeous cars.
So let's talk about, we're going to lead into the performance numbers, which are very, very interesting. But before we get there, I just want to talk about the used market here, because that's primarily what we are talking about. 2024 was the last year of the F-Type. They are officially done being produced. They're dead, right? Yep. But they go all the way back to 2014. They only went through 2 redesigns in that time frame. Almost all of them look the same manner that this one looks, and for the past, I think it was 3 years, changed some headlights and taillights and revised a few things in the interior. For the whole life of the F-Type, it pretty much looks the same. Obviously, we're talking about the C8 today, but if you are cross-shopping and you want that American sports car experience, it's very easy from a price standpoint to cross-shop a C6 Corvette to an F-Type, a C7 Corvette to an F-Type, and also a C8 Corvette to an F-Type, just depending on the spec, the year, the mileage that you're after in the F-Type market.
Excellent points, Dad. Let's talk about the fun stuff though, and that would be performance. These two cars extremely similar in performance. Now, when you're talking about weight, these cars both weigh in around 30, or this one weighs in around 3650.
As does this. It's right in the 3,600 pound range, 3,700 pounds.
This in the convertible form is around 3,900, which does add a little bit of weight, like the one shown in the video. And I have to admit, I love the body lines on the convertible.
Looks good.
And it being a hardtop convertible, I think is worth the extra weight. Definitely a unique experience having that convertible layout, and the F-Type does come in a convertible as well, but a soft top variant.
So kind of check one, like identical weights, right? Yeah. Let's just say that.
Yeah, identical weights, we'll say that. When we talk about horsepower, the F-Type is on the upside of things, depending on the trim of Corvette we're looking at, right?
F-Type.
Yeah, if we're talking about a C8, the F-Type has way more power.
It does.
If we're talking about a C7 Z06, the F-Type has about 100 less horsepower.
Right.
So it kind of depends on which one you're looking at, but we're talking about C8s today. So we're talking about pretty much a 500 horsepower car to a 575 horsepower car. Pretty much the same weights. This one's all-wheel drive, however, and this one's powering the rear wheels, but all of the weight is sitting on top of the rear wheels, which in a way makes it launch like an all-wheel drive car.
Right, so, and that does, that is a check mark for the C8. That is, if you have the right launch, if the pavement is just right, this is a faster car to 60, but only if the circumstances are just perfect. With having the all-wheel drive, you're almost always going to have a perfect launch. High 2-second 0 to 60, low 3-second 0 to 60, and if you take it down the strip a little further, what you're going to find is about 11.2 quarter mile at like 122 approximately, and you're going to find about 11.3 quarter mile at about 123 miles an hour. So these are two cars that are extremely close when it comes to a performance standpoint.
And this one is a 5-liter supercharged V8. This one's a 6.2 naturally aspirated LT2. I think we need to take a listen to them. before we finish up with performance, we have to talk about what it is like to be behind the wheels of these cars, what the driver engagement is all about. And it's entirely different with the C8. The steering wheel and where you're sitting is very, very close to being on top of that front axle versus having the long hood sitting back in the F-Type. Definitely a unique experience difference between the two of these cars. I think personally, if I was going on a long road trip, if I was going on, we go on this trip every year called the Hot Rod Power Tour, right?
Yeah.
2-lane back roads, race track every day type of thing. I would take the F-Type all day long. It's a great grand tour. You can have some fun on the track when you get there. However, if I was going specifically to something for a track day or an autocross day, I would take the C8.
Yeah.
I think it's more fun being on top of the front axle. The driver engagement's a little bit better with the way the steering is laid out inside of the C8, and it overall is a little bit more nimble go-kart-like feel because of it being the mid-engine layout. However, on road trips and grand touring, the F-Type wins in every regard in that sense.
And I would agree that like both cars are extremely comfortable cars in that sense. But yeah, this is definitely geared towards being a grand tour. And I will say one thing that you didn't say that I think is important,
which is
the F-Type has like that extra little check mark of like rowdiness to it.
It does.
And a lot of that comes with the personality of the exhaust and just like kind of the excitement that adds to it.
Yeah, it's very interesting because like typically you would think when you say rowdy, I mean, you wouldn't think of something as refined as the F-Type. It's just crazy how refined that car can be, yet how unbelievably rowdy it can be. Like for example, like even though this car is all-wheel drive, I'd be more worried about this car stepping out on me than I'd be worried about the C8 stepping out on me.
And it has happened to me, let's be honest.
Like this thing is rowdy, it's aggressive, it's in your face. They are menacing cars. Don't let the looks fool you. These things are serious.
They're often described in forums and different chats as the British Hellcat, if you're not familiar with the F-Type, right? So there's a little bit of that like menace to society that it's got going on, and that's kind of fun to me, right?
I would agree, and there's no doubt about the fact the thing's just plain old loud. It's so loud compared to the C8.
There's a few things to talk about transitioning from like the driver engagement, better handling car all day. It's still a lot of fun. But when we transition from the performance talk and just talk about like ownership experience, right? I'm never going to buy a Jaguar. They are so unreliable. Why on earth would you do that? I'm going to buy a Chevy because it's the most reliable vehicle on the road.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I love the C8 and everything in it, and the engine is rock solid. That thing will run absolutely forever with general maintenance. But Tremec just for the first time designed the 8-speed dual clutch automatic that is inside of this C8 Corvette, and it's an amazing transmission. But there has been some reliability concerns with it. The transmission in the F-Type over here is the ZF 8-speed. It has been used in Dodge products for I don't even know how long. It's been used in, I mean, BMW products. It's been used in every manufacturer you could probably think of has used this transmission in some way, shape, or form. And that's because it is rock solid reliable. It shifts incredibly fast. No, it doesn't shift as fast as the C8. That is better and it's more engaging. But when it comes to reliability and longevity, I would pick the transmission in this car over the C8s. And quite honestly, I'd put their engines right up against each other with reliability. The 6.2 is good in the C8, but the 5.0 in the F-Type is, I mean, known for a few coolant leaks here and there, but like whatever, right? That's general maintenance type stuff.
There are a few more tidbits to the F-Type. I won't dismiss that versus a push rod V8
overhead cam. Absolutely.
There's definitely a little bit more going on there, but for the sake of time in the video, the F-Type does actually have a very good reliability reputation.
There was recently an article that was put out that I'll link below of stating that the F-Type is actually the most reliable sports car. A lot of people would never believe me, but on the two that you've had that you've driven quite aggressively, we haven't had a single issue other than some seepage.
Yeah, very solid cars. Going to the tech of the cars, this is interesting, right? Because even though, and I believe it was 2020, Jaguar did everything they could to push the tech into the next level of, keeping up with the Joneses, and they fell short. Like, let's be honest, the Corvette like takes the cake. If the tech is your thing, everything that the C8 has to offer is better than the Jaguar.
It's good. It feels more modern, I'm not gonna lie, in the C8, but there's still times where it's a little bit laggy. It's a GM product. It's not fantastic. It's not a Tesla. It's good. It feels modern. I love the layout of the screens and the tech, but at the same time, like, if you're thinking that it's going to be some crazy high-speed iPhone,
right?
Like, I wouldn't dismiss it from the F-Type in that sense.
I'm gonna be honest here. It is hard to like debate which car sounds better. They both sound really good. Let's be honest, those V8s are amazing. But like we were arguing, we were having a conversation about should we even make this video? Does it make sense? These cars are so radically different. Like it doesn't make sense. So that's where our heads were at. But I'm gonna be honest, the more time we've spent with these two cars and looking at them side by side and at different angles and talking through the different performance specs and knowing what that behind the wheel experience is, like it's quite remarkable that these are cars that you should be thinking about if you're pulling up next to the stoplight and they're both there, or if you're actually cross shopping and looking for that car that's going to put the bigger smile on your face. Like these are true competitors in that sense.
And I will admit, I always thought the F-Type was dramatically faster than the Corvette after looking into things. And I think still from a roll, it would absolutely smoke it. But I am truly impressed at how similar like track times and all that stuff is between the C8 and the F-Type. And my goodness, just looking at it at this angle, what a fantastic looking car this is. And the overall experience that you get with basically sitting on top of that front axle is second to none. Truly a great experience. But it doesn't have the rowdiness, the aggressiveness that the F-Type brings to the table, which is something that I truly desire. The F-Type can kind of scare you a little bit, where the Corvette here is, it's almost more refined, which is weird saying that, knowing what the past generations of Corvettes have been like. But it's just, I mean, it's supercar-like. It is an amazing car. I love everything about it. But there's just something about that extra 75 or 80 horse, that amazing quilted interior. There's something about the F-Type to me that is more appealing even than this basically supercar.
That's kind of fun. We want to know what you guys think. Is there even a comparison here? Which car do you choose? We want to hear down in the comments below. We look forward to reading through those comments with you and getting into a little debate if necessary. Thank you so much for tuning into the video today on Performance on Wheels. We will see you next time.
See you guys.